to Astro Monday, everybody. I'm super excited to bring up Christopher Witecki whenever he gets up. I'm going to bring him up. What you guys can do, I invite you to stand up when you listen to this. I listen to Chris all the time, and he actually gave an amazing performance on Saturday when we did our Human Garage virtual session. And standing up, listening to it, you can really feel his words in your physical body and in your heart. And then it kind of goes into your soul or whatever you relate to that concept of your greater self. Standing up just allows you to feel that a little bit more. Even if you rock back and forth, I need to find the study, but there's a study that reading comprehension goes up 400% if you're on your feet and you're either rocking side to side or forward and backwards. And I apologize, I do not have the source of that study right now, but it's definitely a thing. They did it with, I believe, elementary students first. They just asked, what do you feel more comfortable with, rocking back and forth or forward and backwards? And then they started doing it with adult office workers and found their productivity went up as well. Chris, if you're out there, definitely just put a message there so I can bring you up on to stand up while you listen to this. Or if you're sitting down, just take your foot, cross one leg over the other, and you can just wave your foot back and forth, or just like you're pressing a gas pedal to retain this information. What's up, Chris?
Just rock it back and forth.
Yes. Yeah. We're ready to receive what you have to give to us.
Thanks, man. Good to see you. Yeah, it was a fun event on, was it Saturday? I can't remember now. It's all blurred together.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool.
You're explaining just like how this is the time to step into what we've always, like what we've known to be the greatest version of self. And that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
I hope we touch in on that a little bit so everybody gets to experience that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we're in a very exciting time, I think, for our evolution. Yeah, and we've been working up towards this for a long time. You know, I mean, everything you've lived up until now has been facing what we call karma, which is ultimately your soul's grievances with yourself, and also what your soul's proud of. So bringing out your talents and facing things that were kind of in your shadow. And the astrology shows that that is all complete. Like we've done all of our homework now, which means that we're now on to like the real purpose of this lifetime. And this moment right now in Sagittarius is the shifting of the story, shifting of the beliefs. So it's exciting times. Just to give you a quick little
It
summary.
really does feel like everything's shifting. When we think back at like the chapters of our life, the even just the technological resources that we have around us are shifting, and then the internal technology of us is it's probably the origin of the technological shift, right? But I really definitely feel like how we have been experiencing life is something of the past, is what it feels like, and we're shifting into something that's kind of unknown, or maybe that's the wrong word to put it. Do you feel that?
Something of the past. Say that one thing because I had a call come in I had to deny.
The
Repeat
way
that
that
one
we've been
thing.
experiencing things in the past have been, it just feels really like it's detached from me.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like either in a different gear or maybe even a completely different car, different vehicle that we're moving forward in.
That's a good way to put it. We would say timeline, like we're in a new timeline, which is ultimately a narrative that we decided to live because most of what life seems to be is these narratives, the story, of a human being up against certain odds or facing certain issues. And so, yes, what the astrology says without a doubt is that we're in a new timeline, which means it was like a new goal we set forth in heaven before we came down. And so, yeah, the past is officially dead. If you want to repeat anything you've done in the past, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's not going to come naturally. It's not going to cross your path. You're not going to be tempted by the past. You're going to find everything is pretty much new now. And you might even feel a little strange, like a stranger in a new world. And that's what it feels like with me. Like I don't recognize this particular world right now.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Stranger in a strange land. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
One of,
Yeah. A tropical strange land for both of us. Could be worse, right?
yeah.
So,
I was on my roof the other day watching the sunset the day it was Saturday, the day that the the new moon was happening, and I was just
Yeah.
imagining the moon at the same place as the sun, and just how that energy is coming through. So what's wrapping up for this week? Like what's unraveling, I should say, for this week?
Well, that new moon was the official start of the new story with yourself. So really it all comes down to your story with yourself. You are a soul who wants to experience yourself in the flesh, and you want to experience yourself in a tangible way. And so really all of life is about what you want to experience with you. And the new moon on Saturday night was at step 9 Sagittarius, which means it's time to act on and put into motion the new story with yourself. So I think the most beneficial thing a person can do is to understand what that story is. Like, you want to experience something, you want to be somebody, you want to do something, you want to create a gift for the world. You want to express a talent that you have. You want to, experience true love. There's some sort of something your heart wants to experience. That's the core. And from that core, we now then set out to change our beliefs about daily life. And that's what's happening now. Between now and the full moon, you will be working on changing what you believe about everything based on that new story with yourself. So then I know the new story with myself is to experience myself in certain ways. So therefore, as I go through this week, as things come at me from the old story, just the repeating things, that you have set in motion. Because the universe is not going to bring the old story back to you, but you have things in motion. So you may have like a relationship that does nothing but take, you may have a job that just wears you down. You might have, be living in a situation you're not happy with. So the first thing in this next 10 days is to really 11 days to the full moon is to now look at all these things and either say, I no longer believe that this is part of my new life. Um, or I believe this is part of my new life and this isn't. So it's sort of a sorting through the story, the characters, the plot, the conditions of your life, and choosing what you believe. And what we believe is what your heart feels is true. Because what your heart feels is true is what you intend to manifest. And so this week is about, like, today, we're at step 10 and step 11. So we're coming into our integrity about how we feel about ourselves today. That's the first and foremost. Like, feeling that, yes, I'm right with me, I'm right with where I want to be. And then kind of expanding out from there to the different parts and conditions of your life that apply or don't apply. The big day is going to be probably Wednesday afternoon. We hit step 13 and we go into Love Fest Day. And that's the day when you'll probably be confronted with a core belief that's life changing about your life. Core beliefs such as, do you really believe you're always going to be the groomsman and not the groom? Do you really believe that you're always going to be the one, the last one recognized in life? Do you really believe that you're destined to be the one not seen at work for how well you do? So sort of opting out of those beliefs that you've taken as this is life, but but reality or consciousness is saying, well, is this the new life that you want to live or not? And so that shift of step 13 will probably change your whole framing of how you look at daily life, and you'll realize that it was within your power the whole time to change it. So that's kind of the bummer, also the good. Like, I've suffered because I've allowed it is kind of the thing. And then from there, we start to build that, what we believe the new life will be. So between now and Thursday, it's the breaking down of the old life. And then after Thursday, it's the breakthrough of the new life and a new perspective of what that means. And most of that is just inside you, by the way. I don't think you'll actually see real tangible choices change until we get to Capricorn a month later.
Okay. So what day was that step 13? The
Step 13 hits like Wednesday afternoon
and then
through Thursday morning.
okay.
So it could be hump day, and it might be something where someone just lets you down again, or you're overlooked for the promotion again. Like, something happens that just triggers you to such a core. It might create anger. That would be your inner child upset that this keeps happening. But whatever it is, it's a symbol. It's not in itself important. So don't get too caught up in the he said, she said, or what they did or whatever. Look at it as that final sign, that final symbol, that it's time for you to kind of dig your heels in and decide that you want a different story now. You don't want to live that narrative anymore. You've learned what you can from that narrative. It doesn't serve you anymore to repeat it, right?
I like that you brought up feeling states. It might be an activity or an experience that happened, but also if you're feeling emotions, one of the indicators of emotional intelligence, one of the main ones is being able to translate the emotion into action, to actually use it as a compass to guide action. And that sounds like what you're talking about here is really just be aware of what's going on Wednesday, Thursday ish,
Mm-hmm.
and take a step
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, shift your perspective. I mean, you have to ask what your heart feels is true. So does your heart feel that you're always going to be overlooked for the promotion? Does your heart feel that you're going to go without love? Does your heart feel that no one will recognize your artwork and you'll never be seen? Is that what your heart feels? Then what you're really doing inside is you're saying, I'm going to put my energy and attention into what my heart feels, not what I think. And that's really where the battle is. The battle is pretty much between your mind and your heart and feelings. That's also the battle of what enlightenment is. I mean, a person is not enlightened if they live in the mind. The mind is not an enlightenment tool. It's actually very finite, very fixed, very specific. It's just pliers. It's designed to pick up different words and compare things. And so part of this is a huge revolution of human beings shifting out of their mind running things and shifting more to their soul running things. And you don't have to be in a church to connect to your soul. Your heart and how you feel in your heart is your soul, period. So by saying, okay, I'm going to go with what my heart feels. My heart feels this won't always be a problem. My heart feels I have opportunities. My heart feels that it's been a lesson, but not the norm, like not what's meant to be. And so what you're really choosing is to take attention out of your mind and all the excuses or all the examples or all the things you've heard on television. Like take your power out of your mind and put it into what your heart feels. That's really where the shift of power is.
Yeah, my relationship to that is that a lot of times the apparentness or the alignment of the mind and the heart aren't there. So when the heart speaks and you consider that journey, your mind is saying like, whoa, 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 you like don't do that. Like there's all these dangers, you can't afford it, or what are you going to do in this scenario? But the heart isn't. The heart's connected to this reality. I mean, I call it an electromagnetic, like it's an electromagnetic reality, and your heart is connected to that, and it knows things that the mind can't comprehend. And finding trust and faith in your heart, knowing that your mind isn't going to make sense of it, is a leap of faith that we all get to do in order to develop the relationship with our heart. Uh,
Totally. And that's the leap into enlightenment, in my opinion. Like we talk about enlightenment. I don't know what people think of enlightenment as. I know what I thought of it. I thought it was like meditating on a mountain and
mhm.
you know, quieting the mind for hours. And they say quieting the mind. I'm now realizing that quieting the mind isn't really is pretty much a misguidance. To kind of like I almost think I almost think it's like a spiritual conspiracy to sit there and just try to quiet the mind. That's like a game. That's like trying to get your heart to stop pumping. It's like what the fuck. I think really the truth is it's not that we quiet our mind. It's that we listen to our heart. We
Right.
listen to our feelings. We shift our attention to our heart and feelings. And to me, that heart based is the high vibration because your heart is your connection to God Creator. That's your umbilical cord to creation is your heart. And so if we listen to source, which is our heart, and your heart is intelligent, your heart will speak to you. Something I don't think people realize.
We got a question saying, how can I know when the heart is speaking to you?
That's a good question. That's what we teach at Serious Joy. I mean, it does take coaching, and I'll just go ahead and do a shameless plug here.
Plug it.
Yeah, for this week, Serious Joy is giving 2 months of Serious Joy for just $3.99 a month, so $4 a month for 60 days. If you just listen to my pep talk every morning for 60 days, you will begin to identify your heart. There's a trick to it. The first thing you have to do, the best thing to do for your heart is to do what I call the 5-2-1 approach, which is if you have a question for yourself, like, will I find love? That's a question. Will I find love? First thing you do is you ask your mind. What does your mind think about finding love? So your mind will say yes, no, but I'm not tall enough. But I'm getting too old. Like the mind has all of its thoughts and all of its reflections. That could take like 1 to 2 hours if you actually let your mind spew out everything it has on will I find love. Then you ask your feelings. Do I feel like I'm going to find love? Do I feel like love is coming? Do I feel it? You know. And once your mind is exhausted, you'll be able to segregate your feelings from your thoughts because your feelings usually the mind is so loud, it drowns our ability to hear our feelings. So once you ask your feelings, what do you feel about this? And you'll find that your feelings have answers that your mind never came up with, because the emotional state of awareness stores this different wisdom than the mind stores. Right. Then once you ask your feelings, then you ask your heart. Hey, heart, am I going to find love? And your heart will literally light up when it's addressed. So you'll feel something right in the heart chakra. You'll feel like a warmth or a happiness or a giddy, or like making jokes or like being silly. Like your inner child will come forward. That's the best technique I've ever come up with to get straight to the heart of things. But after you've been addressing your heart day after day after day, your heart just comes through on its own. Like even now, right now, my heart is very active because I keep talking about it. So it's almost like a puppy. It's like, hey,
Right. You,
like,
you you mentioned food. You
yeah,
mentioned water.
totally.
The so you're essentially asking questions to your mind, then asking questions to your heart, and then listening.
Your mind, your feelings, and then your heart. Um,
Mind,
be,
feelings, heart.
yeah, because the way it works is step one is the heart. That's the core layer of who you are, is your heart. And then it moves to step two, which are your feelings. And then it moves to step three, which are your beliefs. And then four is your belonging. So where in space time does this belong? And then step five is the mind. So the mind is the fifth step. And what happens is we get caught up in the mind and mind games, which drowns our ability to see deep into the heart. So our mind becomes overactive, and it basically distracts us from our other voices. So the 521 method puts this at ease, then puts emotions at ease, and then the heart is easily accessed because feelings and thoughts usually overpower the voice of the heart. Yeah.
And why is it called 521? Just to clarify it.
Step five, step two, step one. So it's the 11 steps, serious joy. I mean, it's how consciousness manifests or incarnates on Earth. It incarnates in that order, and that's the principle of serious joy. I teach this is like you have 12 states of awareness. So it's not 12 signs. There's 12 states of awareness, 12 states of being aware of being human. Each state has a hierarchy over the other. Each one leads to the other. So if your heart loves something, the first thing that happens is you feel it. Then you believe it. Then you know it belongs in your life. Then you have something to think about it. And then you open up to accept it. The steps keep going all the way to 11, where you become that intention. So what we do is working backwards. We quiet the mind, we quiet the emotions, and then we get to the core of what the heart wants. And over time, if you practice that, again, you'll be able to go straight. I can go straight to my heart right now. My heart, I can answer straight from my heart and bypass my feelings and my thoughts when I want to, which is a great skill.
Right, right, right. I like that. So so feelings and emotions are not the same as like the heart. Where are they coming from the heart? Like when because you're
So
distinguishing, you're saying they're separate.
they are actually separate. So really what emotions are is like a broadband state of awareness that reflects all of who you are. So, the moon is the symbol of this. You have the earth in the center, which is what life is. And the moon whips around the earth every 28 days. And what does the moon do? The moon reflects the sunlight back onto the earth. What's the sun? The sun is the heart. So the moon is actually reflecting back as a rear view mirror, as a mirror of everything that's going on inside of us. The moon is this creation of, it's a sensation, it's a biological thing that releases, as you know, hormones and whatnot. The organs create this illusion of emotion, but what it is a reflection of other states of awareness. Now, emotions have their own unique state of awareness too, in the sense that you feel your body, so you can feel everything. You can feel your heart, you can feel your beliefs, you can feel your where you belong. If you walk down an alley dark at night, you know you don't belong there. That's you feeling the I belong state of awareness. You can feel relationships, step six. You can feel God, step 7. So emotions will feel everything. That's why people get confused about the heart versus an emotion. The heart can be felt. The heart is an emotion that you do feel. But that feeling of the heart is one step away from the heart itself. It's the reflection of the heart. So you can go one step deeper than just the feeling of the heart and get straight to the heart of the matter.
That
It takes practice.
right. Straight to
Yeah,
the sun, straight to the light, basically. Enlightenment.
totally. Straight to the light, straight to the joy. So the core of the heart tends to feel, even then it's a feeling. It's also a knowing. So the more you focus on the feeling, the closer you get to the knowing of the heart. And that's a state of awareness too. So human beings have all these states and are aware of all these states, but you've allowed yourself to have, like, your mind steal all the attention, because what you put your attention on is what is most real. And so if you have your attention always on your thoughts, then you have a hard time putting your attention just on your heart, because you've spent so much time focusing on your thoughts, where most people are. Most people live in their mind.
This I told you guys to stand up and listen to this with your whole being, because Chris is dropping some. I mean, there's two things: how to speak to the heart, and just explaining like what emotions and feelings are, as they're just like aspects of
Yes,
reflections of the heart, but they're not the heart. The heart
correct.
is the heart. And
The heart of everything and the soul. Yeah.
wow.
Aspect's a good word. Um, yeah, that's a good
And that's
word.
just that just like, and then also relating that to where the stars are, where the planets are, where the sun is, where the moon is, that all starts to make sense now, because we're in relation to all of that. We are that.
Yeah, the planets are forcing the attention of that state of awareness to change. So, so when the moon goes around the Earth every 28 days, it's changing what area of life is it's reflecting back at you. So your feelings are being redirected by the gravity of the planets. They're redirecting the attention of where things go. So the moon goes every 28 days. So in every 28 days, you will feel your entire life once. In every 88 days, which is the cycle of Mercury, you will think about your entire life once. So each of these planets at different rates are your states of awareness changing what they focus on, what they're forced to focus on by default, right? And of course, boundaries is the slowest. That's Pluto. So our boundaries don't do a full cycle for every 249 years. So we pretty much stay pretty much slow as molasses with where we change our boundaries. That's one of the reasons why human beings are so slow to change. They're not being forced to change very much.
You said 249 years or 249 days? 249 years.
Years for Pluto, yeah. So Pluto just spent 15 years in Capricorn, which means that we have been forced to change where our boundaries are when it comes to control, decisions, commitments, law,
Okay.
business, all
So
these
can I
things.
interrupt you?
Yeah.
So it's not that you change once in 249 years. It's going through all of these different signs, and you're changing in different ways throughout the 249 years.
Well, yes. I mean, the truth is we don't live to be 249. So humans will not have their boundaries completely forced to change in a lifetime, right? It just won't happen in a lifetime. So like I said, we've been changing our boundaries with business and control for 15 years now. So that's why humans don't change very much, because the lines just we aren't being forced to look at new boundaries, and we're not voluntarily looking at new boundaries. Your conscious will can actually shift your boundaries at any time. Pluto's just what forces you to do it.
Mm.
It's the force. It's the final line. It becomes very difficult to not change.
And where is Pluto at now? Like what realm?
Pluto's in Aquarius, which is awesome. First time since the American Revolution. It was the American Revolution last time Pluto was in Aquarius. So now we're going to change our boundaries around the dimension we choose to live in, which is a little complicated, um, but I can get deep on it if you need me to. So
I
the
mean,
first dimension.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, the answer. I just wanted to say yes.
Yeah, I mean. So the first, I'm moving around with the sun here. So the first dimension that has to change is the dimension with ourself, because Pluto's at 0 degrees Aquarius. And so we're deciding what dimension do we want to live in with ourself? What's the dimension we're going to stay stuck in? And is that dimension going to be, and I've been talking about it over and over again, as far as what I feel that dimension is. The dimension is this. There may be others I'm unaware of, for the record, but the dimension is, do you believe that you live in a reality where you are merely a participant and not a creator? Do you believe you're in the dimension of creating your reality, or do you believe you're in the dimension of being stuck in your reality? That's to me the primary Pluto zero question. And I've been talking about that as the bridge for everyone, you know. And so Pluto's offering you the ability. So if you say, okay, I believe I'm in a dimension I can create reality, well, then you begin then to create life from that base dimension perspective. Everything starts to create from that base perspective. If you feel like you are stuck in a reality where you are stuck whatever you are handed in life, then you'll begin to create a life and dimension where you are stuck. So you'll get whatever you want. But now it's easier than ever to change dimensions. So when Pluto's in Capricorn, it was very hard to live in the dimension that you create your own reality, because Pluto wasn't sort of lubricating that and giving us the power to switch easily. It'd take a lot of meditation, take a lot of focus to overpower the vibration of the universe, which you can, by the way.
You literally had to eject from society in order to do that in the past.
Precisely.
Now it's like we're doing whatever we would like. Like we're working at home. We're not going to the office anymore. We're learning from home. We're it's like the whole world is like, this is affecting everyone. Everybody's choosing the reality that they're residing in. You can see it. We're all choosing our own life now in an easier way than 15 years ago or 50 years ago.
Just like at 15, I mean, you know, if back when Pluto went to Capricorn, you were a loser, or you weren't a loser. You were a college grad, or you weren't a college grad. Your whole basis of your reality was sort of set up in these grooves. And if you weren't playing along, you were rejected. You lost your ability to have power or respect in the world. Now you can literally be a nutcase, dressed like a clown, riding down the street, and we're just like, huh,
Right.
that's an interesting choice. Like, now we allow that. We accept that. We accept, transgender, for instance. We accept that now. We didn't accept things like that. You be your own world where you create what you want. We were always like, that person's crazy. They don't fit within. Now we're just like, oh, that's an interesting choice. So everyone has the power to live in their own bubble, basically. That's the beginning of enlightenment right there. And you're right. In the old days, you had to go climb like a Himalayan mountain, and you had to live, way detached from society to reach those realms, and meditate every day like crazy. So that's not the case anymore.
This is this is amazing. This is explaining so much.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay, are we finished up with Pluto? How long
Yeah,
is
we're
that
there.
first step for?
How long is Pluto for?
The first step of Pluto. Does it go through the same steps that
It does.
everything else goes through?
It does.
So,
So it's at 0 right now. I'm not quite sure when it gets to 1. It'll be early next year. But the 0 is like, it's been there before. So it creeped up to 0 and up to 1 and up to 2 and then it went back. So Pluto goes back and forth in retrogrades, moves very slowly. So we've been sort of breaking out of that shell for about 2 years now. We started to see it, and then we retrograded back into being imprisoned, and then we started to
wow,
see it, and then we retrograded back into being imprisoned.
this is
And
blowing my mind.
then we
Yeah.
just came out of the imprisonment for the last time, where everything was tested and pushed to a final degree as to, what do you believe is going to be this or this. And now that it's in 0, people should be clear, that they're going to just go ahead and decide what bubble they want to live in, right? And then from there, it's like, okay, what dimension will your heart be on? What dimension will your feelings be on? What dimension will your beliefs be on? So it just starts from that very 0, that premise. And so this is why over the next 20 years or so, we are coming into enlightenment. Because if you decide that, anything is possible, and you just carry up through the steps, life, reality, everything begins to morph to that condition. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is why we're alive this lifetime. It's quite a ride. The last
Right.
time we had this was Atlantis.
we're here for this. And I think that that's a good point to make is like, this is all happening. We're here in perfection with whatever choices is being made in the universe to experience this and to be just all involved in this. Nobody's just a passive pawn or an NPC. Well, what do you like? Are there NPCs or like what's going on with like your interpretation of non-player characters or like others? Is everybody important or is it just us? Like, do other people even exist?
That's a deep question. I'm not quite sure. I feel like that there are players, so to speak, who are really here to drive it home and to basically build the new world, fully knowing what it will be. I feel like there are people you have. The thing is you have to go through the physical experience of ascension, and so I feel like, for instance, with COVID, that was actually kind of a preordained exit. So for a lot of people to hop off the ride before it got too intense, so I think a lot of people did not want to be here because it is intense in the sense that you have to focus on the new, and you have to your body goes through a lot of shifts because your body was very low frequency when we were born, and now it's being taken to high frequency. That means you have to purge all the lower frequency stuff in your body. That's hella uncomfortable. You know, I don't feel I've heard this whole story about there being people who are just like that the God universe has just programmed, robotic people to kind of play avatars to fit in,
Right.
right? That's the idea. It doesn't resonate with me at the core,
Me neither.
because from what I understand, there's like a wait list to come to Earth. If you're lucky to be here, like there's a wait list, in heaven. Like
Yeah.
it's not the Earth's at capacity. They're not letting any, Syrians in or any, Arcturians in. You've had to really sign up for this ride because this is the greatest planet in the universe right now. It is the representation of God's greatest model. The human being is the greatest model God has created, created technically by aliens on behalf of God, I feel. And it's because we have the ability to create, which is brand new, and we have the ability to change our reality based on what we create. So this is the highest form of godlikeness there is in physical form. So it's a in high demand place. So I don't know why you would stuff it with a bunch of gnomes if there's a wait.
Right.
That's where I'm confused. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm in the same regard. Like every piece is perfectly here to be here, like
Yeah.
for a reason. And we don't have to question whether we're, where we are in the hierarchy. Like we're important. We have to be. It's the only way.
Well, you are because it's a collective.
Yeah.
So each person is a point of presence. Each human being is a server in reality. So whether you do anything or not, just by you being awake and looking around, you are broadcasting reality. So everyone's a point of presence. Everyone's a server. Some people are active servers that want to change things. Some people are just participants that want to witness. There's a lot of people who like to witness. And those people who like to witness probably were just a player in the past life or before. So they're just taking a time out because it's a lot. It's exhausting
Yeah.
to
I mean, we have to say we're all
sacrifice.
going through cycles.
Right,
And
totally.
sometimes we cycle for a day and sometimes we cycle for a lifetime.
I
And
agree.
and it's all a progression. It's all a progression of self,
Yes.
collecting selves.
Yeah, and learning who you are. Yeah.
Should we should we go back to, so we covered like Wednesday, Thursday. Is there anything else going on towards the end of this week or are we complete there?
Well, no. So this whole week is really about asking yourself if your heart is in things. I mean, does your heart feel this is the right way to go? So this whole week is sort of a shopping trip as to what your heart wants to go with anymore. So if something comes up in your life today that you're just not into anymore, you want to officially acknowledge, like, my heart's not in that anymore. I've done that, been there, done that. Each person is doing that in a specific area of their life. So, I'm a Leo rising. So Leo risings are doing that with everything the heart wants. So I'm making a complete change of what my heart wants in the next 30 days. Each rising has a different place where they're focusing on focusing on that. Again, if Serious Joy is helpful, we'll tell you what part of your life you're working on with that right now. It's called your B story. but other than that, you're seeing all aspects of life really as a coming up for dismissal or continuation. So this is the big, shopping. This is spiritual shopping. It's funny that we do Christmas shopping and everything else during this time of the year, because that's kind of what we're doing during Sagittarius always. You're kind of shopping for the next story, and you're sort of retiring the old story. And it really comes to a head Sunday, really. But the Sunday afternoon, you're going to start to commit to what that story is, what it is that you want overall in daily life, and small picture too. You know, so if something happens this week that you don't like, don't get upset. Just change your mind. Say, okay, that's what I want anymore. It's not to upset you. It's not that life's going wrong. It's that this has been the program. Do you want to continue with it? Do you want to continue on this path, on this story? Does your heart feel it resonates or not? And so as we go through the week, that's pretty much what it is. It's not super exciting, but you know, it's important work. Now of course Mercury is retrograde, so I guess another important thing to talk about is with Mercury retrograde, our minds have switched polarities. So basically, the mind is no longer looking forward, the mind is looking back. And that means that when something happens to you, your tendency is going to be like, that always happens in my life. That's always the case. So I'm always stuck. Your mind is actually looking backwards. And we actually look backwards when we want to change where we're going forward. So Mercury will stay retrograde until December 15th. And so we're going to be looking back on our life and reflecting with everything new that comes at us. So everything new that comes at you, you look back and go, okay, I do or don't like this pattern. I want to let go of this pattern. But Mars, which is our ego and our drive, will retrograde this Thursday. And that's a big, big deal. Let's make sure it's on Thursday. Yes, it is. Yeah, officially. So 4:33 p.m. on actually Friday. So Friday, Mars retrogrades. Mars is our ego. So right now, Mars is in Leo, and Mars is pushing us to love ourselves at a higher level. And so everyone watching this ought to be a little dissatisfied with life right now, dissatisfied, because we've come to the end of our story. So there's not a lot more to mine as far as joy and happiness from the existing story that we're living. And so everyone is a little dissatisfied with the level of fun and joy going on, as you ought to be. We've lived the story. We've there's no more toothpaste in the container. There's no more candy in the container. So Mars is going to retrograde, and this is a big retrograde for 6 weeks. It starts on December 6th, where now our ego is going to turn inward as well. So we're going to have our mind and our ego inward. The mind until February 15th, the ego inward until December 15th, and the ego is retrograded until February 23rd. So the result of this is going to be you're going to lose your drive is what's going to happen. It's the example I always give is like you're hungry, you're standing in front of a fridge that's full of food, and you don't know what you want to eat. That's kind of how it feels like. You're just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm in the mood for this. I don't know if I'm in the mood for that. And what's happening is you are basically giving your ego something new to chase after. And really something new to love yourself at a higher level. So this loving yourself on a higher level basically means that we have already used up all the experiences possible with loving ourselves at this current level. There's nothing else. Whatever this level is, you've tried it all, or you ignored it all, but it's not enough. So to experience something higher, something greater, more joyful, you're actually going to have to love yourself at a higher level than you ever have, which, that's really the machine of ascension. What I'm learning is ascension is how much love you allow to pour through your heart. That is what determines the level of ascension you're on. If you have very little love, so like Christianity is evil because it told you to give your love away to others before yourself, which literally steered humankind away from ascension. You have to love yourself first before you have the energy to love someone else. And it's our job to channel God and then give God back to ourselves. That's what it is. Self-love is you bring God out, you give yourself back to God. You bring God out, you give God back to you. So that circulation of love, like, oh my God, I love this, I love this scene and I love being me. I love this food and I love being me. This I love being me aspect is what's missing. in people's channeling of their self-love. And so as a result, people are staying at this basically kind of addicted to the same level over and over again because that extra dose of love isn't coming. So we're going to realize that we have to love ourselves on a higher level with Mars retrograde. And Mars is when you take action or don't take action. So, it's not enough to think it or feel it. You have to do it. And we're talking about our behavior with ourself. So it's not about getting yourself a mani and a pedi if you're a woman. It's really about inside yourself. When something unfortunate happens, what do you say to yourself? What do you do for yourself in that moment inside before it ever becomes an outer reality? What's your relationship inside yourself in the invisible part of yourself? What's that like? Are you giving back to yourself? So the net result of Mars retrograde will be deflation. The world's going to feel flat and flavorless. People are going to get really bored with their lives. People are going to feel lost, not know what they're doing in life. People are going to feel unmotivated to make love to their partners, unmotivated to do anything fun. In some cases, falling into depression because there's no longer this push to experience love in the outer world. There's this push to rewire love in the inner world. So if you're looking to the outer world for any type of joy in the next 6 weeks, you're going to be grossly disappointed. If that makes sense.
That was heavy.
Okay, it's supposed to be light, but I'm moving. I'll be
Well,
right with you.
yeah, what so the question I have for you after just laying that all out, thank you
Is
so
it
much for
hard?
no,
Sorry.
no, it was just it was on point for sure.
Yeah.
It was heavy in the terms of like I can feel it. It resonates heavily, is
Okay.
what
Yeah.
I um
Sorry to
so
hit already.
so the yeah, I mean it's already unraveling to that in myself and others around me.
Mm.
Do so Mars is going retrograde, and so would your, let's call it light advice to somebody to wait for that 6 week rest period or looking back period before charging up or hitting the gas in a new direction? Or
100%.
if okay.
Yes. Yeah. Like you can. So it's internal versus external. So this is a great time to find your creative self. This is a great time to find a hobby inside yourself. This is a great time to discover you. Artistry, music, hobbies, studying stuff, chasing down passions. I mean, what this really is that what lights you up is changing.
Hmm.
So it's really an inner discovery period, right? And you're looking for what lights you up. You're looking for what brings the fire out, which brings the love out. You're looking for something new you love about yourself that you didn't know about. So
Yeah.
the only time it's a bummer is if you're trying to find that outside yourself. You're not going to find it outside yourself because if you don't know it in the inner, you won't manifest it in the outer. Remember, the outer is a reflection of the inner. So a lot of people fall into like depression because they're like searching the earth for something that they love, for something that they like. And if you don't know it on the inside, you'll never find it on the outside. You have to discover it in your imagination and in your own relationship to yourself. You know, you can use the outside to kind of stimulate and, shop or look around at things of what's possible. But what you're looking for is that feeling of fire inside yourself. So yeah, we're advising all of our clients at SeriousJoy.com to put down your projects. You're wasting your time. Not only are you wasting your time, you're wasting your time to get in touch with your heart right now, which is rare. Mars and Leo is a rare thing. So this is, Mars is an other sign. In fact, Mars starts in Leo and then goes into Cancer. It's not even Leo the whole time because after Leo, then it has to do with your self nurturing. You're going to realize, oh, what I do to nurture my feelings has to change for me to support this new fire. So you're going to realize that there won't be any fire unless you're caring for your feelings here or caring for your feelings there. But the truth is let's say you were planning on launching a new website. I would say don't waste your time. Wait till February 24th or beyond because you might get it done, but no one's going to find it. No one's going to find it. No one's going to find it because they don't know what their heart wants.
Oh, so yeah, because it's about everyone. It's not just about you being certain. It's
Totally.
I so
So like no one's going to find it. They don't know that they want your site yet. They won't know they want your site till February 23rd. Like no one's going to know they want it until then. And even if they find it, they'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like it won't be a full on like, this is what I've been looking for. It's going to be like, oh, that's kind of nice. So it's a real kind of dreary moment. And I had predicted that people who were upset with the election would fall into a depression in this next 6 weeks. It's very, I've been advising our people, like, don't get caught up in the outer world as the source of your happiness, because you're going to get into a real depression when Mars retrogrades.
This is amazing because I've been feeling personally reshuffling how I relate to the projects in my life, and then feeling like it's going to take time to figure it out. But now you're saying that, yeah, that's exactly right. But I had a
Precisely.
little bit of my mind was giving me a little bit of pressure of like, no, January 1st is coming up. Like this is the time to launch, and this feels more appropriate. This feels more in alignment with my heart, actually, which I knew the whole time. But I just wasn't. It was like January 1st is such an important date, so I was ignoring what I was feeling in my heart.
There's an example. So your mind, this is what I was saying earlier, like your mind says January 1st. Your
Right.
heart says, no, that's what our heart feels. We don't feel it's January 1st. This is where, Capricorn is sort of like the commitments we made and that we make. And so we all collectively committed to like, oh, January 1st, the first of the year. And we're going to, control everything according to that. And so this is a perfect example where society is way out of touch with spirituality.
It hijacked it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the start of
Yeah.
the year really is springtime, right?
The start of the year is actually Halloween,
Oh yeah, is that the Norse calendar?
pagan New Year. Like the full moon in Taurus and the sun in Scorpio is the death of the old year and the birth of the new.
There you go,
So
yeah.
from a consciousness perspective, if you want to like put in perspective, Halloween was New Year's, and so we're like it's February now, technically in Sagittarius, right? Like
Yeah,
Scorpio's a line, Sagittarius is the first month after the line. So it would be February now, technically. So this is Pagan's February, kind of.
and I did some research on Halloween this Halloween, and that's like All Saints Day is actually what it is, and it's um, holy. Like yeah, it's like this is where we're feeling the the saints, the guides around us.
Yeah, the
But
the
it's been
world.
hijacked to like ghouls and goblins and scary movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of well, I don't know what it is, Satan, whatever you want to call it, but there's a force on Earth that's just trying to keep us scared all the time. That goes back forever, using fear to control people, and so we see that we've been under that spell quite a bit. Halloween, everything. Um,
There's
but
a lot of
yes.
people in the comments thanking you for like uh, just the direction that you're putting us all in.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah,
What's my pleasure. Now, I might not be so clear next week when Mars is retrograde. I'll be like, I don't know, man. I do think it's a great time. So it's a great time to explore yourself, um, to explore and ask yourself, is there something more you want out of life? Um, because what you've had is not it. Uh, what we've lived up until now is not the life you were born to live. It is not. According to astrology, it is a review of all. We're coming out of the dark ages, where we are disconnected from our higher selves. We're disconnected from our power in the universe. We're disconnected from the saints. We're disconnected from everything with just like, you know, survival. And so we got really damaged when we didn't have God with us. We had really damaged when we didn't have higher frequency to help us. And so this whole first part of your life was about healing from the damage that happened incarnating in the dark ages. And so all that was in the way. You weren't going to see your true self if you had, trauma and drama and fears and shadow in the way. So we had to face all of our shadow, which means we had to remanifest little versions of the trauma and live through it. Version of trauma, live through it. Version of trauma, live through it. That was the only way to convince our soul We were over it. So you haven't had bad luck. God's not out to get you. This is all reflection of what has been in the dark ages. Now we're done. So now we really are in a place where anything is possible, and you have faced all the parts of yourself that could have sabotaged it. So, I don't care if you've been sick all this time in your body. I don't care if you've been in pain. I don't care if you've been alone. I don't care. I really don't want to hear it, honestly, because it doesn't apply to the future at all. It does not. It was literally clearing the past life stuff. And we're done, thank God. It was a hell of a shit. But we're finally off that toilet. And now we can move on to anything your heart desires. So this next 6 weeks is really about, what is your wish? Go back to yourself as a 7-year-old. What do you wish life was about? And that's the key word. So you asked about getting in touch with the heart. Only the heart can wish.
Mm.
Only the heart can wish. The mind cannot wish. Try it. Try to have the mind wish for something. It'll just stay stuck. Only the heart wishes. So ask yourself, what do you wish? So if you say, okay, tonight the specials are chicken and meatloaf. I don't want those.
Right.
What do you wish it was? What do
I'm
you
glad.
wish it was? Yeah,
I'm so happy you said that because I was thinking the same thing. That I don't want is like what we somehow replaced when we were children, and we wished everything as a child, and
yes.
then somehow it came into just recognizing what we don't want. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that, and that's how we're making the decision. Well, I don't want this, and I don't want this, so I must want that, and it's crazy. I was just thinking about that right when you said that menu. So just
Really?
learning, yeah, just knowing and recognizing when you're thinking, I don't want something to see if you can listen elsewhere to what do you wish for. Amazing stuff.
I would do that for the next 6 weeks, and if your mind goes, that's not possible, say, shut up, smartass. The mind, what we're going on to now, the mind will not understand, period. Your mind will not understand, period. There's no way your mind will understand. There's no way your mind will agree. There's no way. So quit giving power to this stupid computer, and give power to the wish.
It really does work like that. You can just command, like you said, shut up, smartass. Like I was at a conference and David Goggins was talking, and he was talking about like when your alarm goes off at 4:30 a.m. and you have that voice in your mind, and you tell that little voice to stop, like to basically shut up. The same thing, like just shut up, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up, and it really does work. Like it really does work getting out of bed, or even like you're saying, when that negative chatter starts happening, you can just choose out of it.
You totally can. And you have to understand that the heart creates the mind. The mind does not create the heart. So I always look at the heart as the king or queen, and the mind as a court jester. And so, like, don't let that smart ass smart off to the queen. Like, off with your head.
Right.
I'll put you in a coma, you motherfucker. I will get you so like, you shut up. That I am king, I am queen, the heart. You work for me. It's not the other way around. And to
I,
understand that hierarchy inside your consciousness, there is a hierarchy there. And the mind has been audacious enough to try to take over the ride.
I love that you're saying like you be aggressive, like actually like shake it out of the way, smack
Totally.
it out of the way,
How dare you?
because
Like,
that's how I do it, and it works.
it does work because that it knows its place. Honestly, it's what you allow to be programmed. I mean, it's really just a hard drive, the mind. It's just programming. So the heart let it go by too long without correcting it for too long. And so now the program is just repeating back the crap you've allowed to happen. And we've allowed things outside of ourselves to be our source. The biggest problem with science was that science said, what can be discovered by fact is more important than what can be imagined, basically. If you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. At that point, the mind became more powerful than imagination. And so we've allowed ourselves to be hijacked. But I think the dark forces that are on the earth, that's what they wanted. They want you in the mind where it's all debatable. Because if you're in the mind and just debating all the time of what the fact is, you're far away from the actual power, which is your heart.
hmm
You know,
Yeah,
and that's what pisses off people about people that disagree with other people. It's like, can't you see the facts? No, I don't care about the facts. The facts are what different people manifested in their life. I don't want to see what's in the toilet before you flush it. I don't care about your facts. I don't care about my facts, the ones I created with my heart. So you keep your facts and I'll keep mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, facts are just a reflection of what was created.
Yeah. It's a waste of energy to try and figure out what is correct. It's like what is, and
Right. And what is
we don't
correct
argue
is
about.
it's collective. It's like the word correct means a bunch of people agree. I have a feeling if we all decide in our heart we wish the sky was pink, I feel like we wake up to a pink sky. If we all collectively wish the sky was pink, I feel like I feel like we would do that. The problem is you can't get the whole world to do that. What manipulation through media is trying to manipulate everyone into believing the same thing. That's how you hijack the matrix. You trick everyone into believing the same thing, and then therefore it will be. And then
Hmm.
they'll say, "See, we were right all along."
That's the importance of media. Yeah, to
Totally.
rule
Right.
society.
Yeah, precisely. To force your opinion into a predetermined outcome. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, unless you have something else to say, but we got on to Friday. Is there anything important for the weekend, or is that like you?
Well,
I
this
mean, it seems like
weekend is
every-
this weekend. So you're really deciding what you believe this whole week, what you believe about life. So the real question is, this week, if something happens, anything that happens to you is important. That's the universe sort of knocking on your door. So it's like if the landlord complains again and raises the rent again, you say, does my heart believe this is a place I would be living in? Right? Like use your life as the cue. Well, what do I wish it would be? What do I wish life would be with this landlord? What do I wish life would be in this town? And so what happens this weekend is you basically really kind of go back and forth with it. And then it's by Sunday night, going to bed Sunday night, you're deciding, you know what? I decide I believe it's going to be this. I don't care what it looks like. I believe it's going to be this. I decide it's going to be this. This is the color of my sky and my world is this. So it's really a whole week of going back and forth. But once you hit Friday and Mars retrogrades, expect a huge energy drop. Okay. I mean, people just won't have the energy to chase after what they used to chase after. Alcoholics won't have the energy to go to the liquor store. People won't have the energy to chase their vices. So you're going to lose a lot of energy. This weekend will be a sleepy, tired, maybe feeling weak kind of energy because you're coming off of Mars retrograde. And so your normal power is not there. Sometimes you only have energy for the bare minimum.
Man,
So
this is
nothing's wrong with you.
right. It's like permission's there. Accept it, live with it, be okay with it.
Yep. If you only feel like sitting under a tree, then do it. That's it. Because otherwise, you have to change on the inside for life to change. And so come Friday, you start really focusing on that inside. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, this I think was the most potent and one of my favorite talks we've ever had. And
Wow. Cool.
and we're and I feel like I always feel that way, but it's like it's really profound this time. We're here one more time next week, I believe, you and me.
Yep.
So
We're here one more
guys, next week.
time.
Yep.
And y'all, I'm telling you, join Serious Joy. It's $3.99 a month. Like, I'm not going to
What's
offer
the
this again.
website?
SeriousJoy.com. It's only $4 a month, and you get guidance like this 7 days a week. There's a whole team on top of me who also deliver their specialties. I personally wouldn't go through this Mars retrograde without someone like me alongside because it's going to be a tough one. And we've really lowered our prices to let people in to see what we're like. So we're not sure when we come on this Mars retrograde, we might double our prices. We don't know.
I and
So take advantage
I'm
of it now.
and I'm a paying member, everybody. And it's funny because things are happening in my life, and I'll get a text message, and I'm like it's literally from you or from the service, and it's exactly what's happening in my life. It's actually kind of crazy how
It's
that happened.
spooky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Well, we cracked the code. Like we know the clockwork of consciousness, and that's the step system. So it is the way God wired the universe. So we've got the code, and we will kind of tell you what time it is. Like 7 times a day, we'll tell you what time it is. So it makes you feel really good because you don't feel lost or that you're wasting time or anything. You know you're right where you're supposed to be. And to us, that's a priceless gift. So
Mhm. Yeah, I enjoy it.
thank you,
All right,
brother, for the
Chris.
endorsement. All right, it's always a great pleasure, Ra.
Yeah,
Who knows? This you and I. Well, it seems we keep coming back. This is our
right.
destiny. So I love it.
I mean, yeah, amazing talk. All right, take care. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you. I'll be on Thursday, of course, at
Exactly.
noon Pacific.